Okay. So Paul, are we good to go?
Okay,
All
it
good. Excellent.
reopens.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you everyone for attending our session today, wherever you are in the world. It's very early in the morning here in Japan, but it's a real pleasure to be here with you. My name is Daniel Guys. I'm the Senior International Marketing Officer for the International College of Liberal Arts. We are a department of Yamanashi Gakuin University that offers a Bachelor of International Liberal Arts that's taught entirely in English. You don't need to speak any English to apply. Sorry, any Japanese. You do need to speak English. You don't need to speak any Japanese to apply to us. I'll talk about us a little bit later, but really, I'm here to talk about Japan as a study destination and why you should consider it. But before we kick off into that, I like to sort of start these sessions with a bit of audience interaction. So yeah, type in the chat. Some your opinions on this stuff. So Japanese food's available all over the world. But what's your favorite Japanese food? Is it sushi or even sashimi? Get rid of the rice, just have the fish. Ramen, there's lots of different kinds of ramen available too, if you don't know. My favorite ramen was always tonkotsu ramen, so pork base. Or do you like tempura, katsudon, or what's your favorite Japanese food? So yeah, put that in the chat. And obviously, Paula might have to tell me what some of the answers coming through are. But
Yeah, of course. Every time that students start chatting I'll send you the whole questions.
oh, cool! Thank
You
you very
can.
much. So hopefully we get some answers
I
there.
think we'll give the talk, and at the end, I'll give you,
You can give me
let you
some of
know
the
when we have
answers.
2 minutes left, and we'll start
Uh-huh.
the Q&A. Do you agree?
Excellent. No, sounds good to me. So yeah, I
Perfect.
mean, one thing I'll say about food is, obviously the best food in Japan, the best Japanese food you get in Japan. But one thing you might not realize is that there's lots of um, regional dishes too. So like where we are, there's a thing called hoto, a bunch of other stuff you can only really get in Yamanashi. So yeah, definitely come here and try that out. And also, get your interest flowing. What interests you about Japan? Is it, anime and manga? Is it Japanese cinema? Do you like J-pop, visual K, the music, Japanese rock? Um, I'm a big fan of the Blue Hearts, for example. Is it fashion, the Harajuku kind of style? Is it martial arts? Is it the food? Like we're just talking about, is it technology, robotics, things like that, or is it something else that really interests you? And I would say you can study many of these things here, um, in ICLA in particular, but there are a lot of options now in Japan for studying these things in English too. So a lot of cases you don't need to speak Japanese to study in Japan. So yeah, there's some quick questions to get your juices flowing. A little bit about us. I am in right now from my apartment in the city of Kofu, in a prefecture, which is like a state called Yamanashi. Um, we are about 90 minutes due west of Tokyo by rail, um, and about 2 hours by bus. And City Kofu has about 300,000 people. And Yamanashi itself is known as like the home of Mount Fuji. So, you might notice I have a background of the city of Kofu, and you can see Mount Fuji right over my shoulder. So we get great views of it all throughout the year. Like right now, temperatures start to drop. It's very clear here in autumn, fall. If you speak American English. So you get these great views of like snow-capped, Fuji, and then also snow-capped mountains all around us as well. It's quite beautiful. A little introduction about us. Yeah, so We're a department of YGU. It's a private, not-for-profit university, actually K through to postgraduate school corporation. Was founded after the Second World War. It's quite famous in Japan for the number of Olympians that have graduated from this university, so it's very strong in sports. We have 5 departments here. 4 of them are taught in Japanese, and ICLA is taught in English. We also have a postgrad school. Unfortunately, that's only taught in Japanese at the moment. ICLA, as a brief intro to us, we're one of the newer departments of YGU. We offer 4 majors here: global business and economics, political science, interdisciplinary art, and Japan studies. So, but it's taught from a liberal arts perspective. That means small class sizes, big focus on interdisciplinarity, and a lot of freedom to take majors. We're a very international student body here. Our students come from all over the world, including Latin America and North America as well. I know a lot of you are joining us here today from there. And we have, as I said, small class sizes. So about 70% of our classes have less than 15 students, which means we have a good student to faculty ratio. So you get a lot of one-on-one time with the professors and taught in English. Typically in Japan, you will need about IELTS 6.0, 6.0 in order to apply. And that's the same for us. So we have, if you're really lucky, you come to ICLA, you might get this view out of your dorm room as well. Just a small plug about us. But moving on, why should you consider Japan as a destination? Japan is renowned for like high quality, technology and really good food and so on, fashion as well, but education as well, very highly regulated. Everything in this society is really highly regulated, and so you're guaranteed of a high quality of education. All universities are accredited by the Ministry of Education here, and the degrees are recognized worldwide. Japan, you might have an image of Japan being quite an expensive place to come and live or to visit, but honestly, Japan is very affordable. I say that as an Australian. I know we're a very unaffordable place to go, but when you look at the tuition fees and compare them to the UK, the US, to Australia, to some universities in Canada, etc., Japan is very affordable. And also, once you get outside of the larger cities like Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Fukuoka, the cost of living drops very rapidly. Housing is much cheaper here. Food is much cheaper here. It's also better quality. So by picking a university outside of a major city, but with great access to it, it's very, very affordable. I'll talk about our fees later, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Japan's renowned as a very, very safe place, and I'd agree with that. Crime is very low. Crimes against foreigners, unheard of, honestly. Very, very low rates of drug use. There's no problems with that. What that brings, the destruction to communities that brings, honestly. And yet we have earthquakes, we have typhoons, but the Japanese have lived with those things for centuries. So the building standards are really, really high here. So, building damage or loss of life from natural disasters is very rare. Now, the next 2 things go together as a package, I think. See, Japan, number 3 economy in the world. And for a long time was number 2 behind the United States. So its corporations are active all over the world. And so, having experience of Japanese business culture here can give you those linkages to Japanese corporations here and also overseas. But Japan has a small problem, which is its population is aging and shrinking quite rapidly. So Japanese corporations are really looking to increasingly hire foreign graduates of its universities. Graduates that can speak Japanese and another language like Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, you name it, are in very high demand. And if you can speak 3 languages, even more so. So you combine that knowledge of Japanese business culture with those language abilities and that Japanese language ability, you're extremely employable. So for those reasons, it's a great place to come. And Japan has very welcoming immigration policies as well. There's no limit to the number of years you can stay here if you're employed. So, and as I said, it's quite easy to find a job. So if you're thinking of making Japan your home long term, it's quite easy to do that. But most importantly, it is just an amazing place to live. The way that they balance the ancient and the modern, the built and the natural environment is really something to behold. Small plug again, this photo was taken about 30 minutes drive away from the university. It's called Chireto Pagoda. It's a very famous spot. The food is great. The people are welcoming. You've got, great access to, nature if you're out, from Tokyo. Got the full 4 seasons here. You can come and experience things like, the cherry blossom season, the cold winters, and everything in between. Nice hot summers. You've got access to cities like Tokyo, these meccas of art, design, fashion, culture, theater, music, you name it. And even, you've got that, but you've also got these little oases of calm, and this respect for the old culture and how it permeates even, modern life even to today is quite something to behold. There is a real sense of community here that I think has been sadly degraded in much of the West. So it is a really amazing thing to come and experience for yourself. And international students routinely say, it is one of the best places to come. You become part of the community coming here. Now, there are many things you could study here in Japan. You could come to a language school. You could do a junior college, a tandai. So they're like vocational colleges, so like 2-year colleges where you're getting, skills in a trade. You could go to a university. And in the past, a lot of people came here. They went to a language school for a couple of years. They got their Japanese up to a certain level, and then they took the entrance exam for a university in Japanese, and then they did the 4-year degree. But increasingly, there are more and more universities like YGU that offer a degree taught in English. So you don't need to take that first step of going to a language school. And in most of these courses, you can study Japanese either as part of the curriculum or part as an elective and get your Japanese up at the same time you get your degree. There are 3 kinds of universities in Japan. There are national universities, very small in number, very difficult to get into. They're like the Harvards, the Yales, that kind of thing of Japan. There are prefectural universities. Again, these are public, national and prefectural are public universities. Again, very competitive. These 2 national and prefectural universities typically do not offer English language taught courses, or if they do, they only take small numbers of students. And the 3rd kind is like us, private not-for-profit universities. There's also private for-profit universities. And here is where you see more of the English language degrees being taught. Now, Applications in Japan, I'll talk about ours. We're fairly typical now, where it'll be online, which is not surprising. If you want to apply for ICLA, you can do that through ApplyWave. For us, because we're a liberal arts college, we do a holistic review. We don't set a minimum GPA for applications or for scholarships. But for other universities, they have their own requirements. There is no common application portal for Japanese universities. You need to approach each one individually and work out what their requirements are and for their course. So really, I can only talk about us in this respect. But us, other universities, well, we accept a wide variety of your national exams, right? So in many cases, you do not need to take the SAT. It's not mandatory. And for these English language taught degree programs, there's typically no Japanese language proficiency required. So you do not need to speak Japanese. We'll teach you Japanese, right? So usually the application process for a university will be, complete that online application, pay the application fee, and you'll have a screening and then an interview. So with ICLA, you have an interview with 2 of our professors, and about 2 to 4 weeks after that, you will get the notification of your results. With us, we would also tell you if your scholarship application was successful or not. Now, Japan's visa situation goes something like this. You need to pay the enrollment fee if you wish to accept the offer. All Japanese universities have an enrollment fee. You then supply some documents for your certificate of eligibility. About 6 to 8 weeks after that, your certificate of eligibility, COE, will be ready to send to you. So you then need to pay the first semester's tuition fee. The university will mail that COE to you, and you'll go to an embassy and convert that to a student visa and come to Japan. I'll talk about Japan's borders at the end of this, but Japan is back. We are opening up to students, or started accepting students back into Japan from last week. So it's a great thing to see. So let's talk entry requirements for a Japanese university, and more specifically ICLA, because everyone's different. But there is a government regulation. You need to have graduated you need to have graduated high school by the time you start the university degree. So you can apply as a senior in high school, you can apply in your last year of high school, but you will need that high school diploma. You will need 12 years of education in total, unless you were educated in Russia, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Myanmar, Peru, or Sudan. Those countries aside, you need 12 years of education. So you cannot apply in your 11th year, right? You need that 12th year. You'll need that national exam result. An SAT is not mandatory, but an SAT is an example of a standardized test result. Most universities in Japan, if you've done the IB diploma or you've done the A levels, we accept that. That's your standardized, that's your entry exam. So you do not need to take the SAT on top of that. Okay. All of us have different language requirements. Ours are IELTS 6.0, no band below 5.5, or an equivalent to that. So TEFL 76, TOEIC 750, Duolingo 95. A lot of universities will accept Duolingo as well. So we certainly do. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of documentation you'll need to, give. You'll need. Well, don't ignore that, because you'll do it for ApplyWave. You'll need a passport. You'll need a statement of purpose. You'll need a couple of recommendation letters. You'll need your high school diploma. You'll need academic transcripts, and you'll need those university entrance exam results, okay? And you'll need that English proficiency test score. So once you've got all that together, you can apply. Let's talk about fees. We are fairly typical of a Japanese university. So you can take this as an example of how much it would cost to study here. As I said, there's an enrollment fee. This is a feature of every Japanese university. Ours is about 200,000 yen. And then the tuition, facility, and equipment fees for a Japanese university are around 1.6 million yen per year. The yen has weakened significantly since I wrote this. Sorry, I should have updated it. It's about 14,000 US dollars per year at the moment. A lot of Japanese universities have dormitories. We do. They're actually attached to the building for us. So there are about 8,000 per year in housing and meal plan fees at ICLA, and that'd be typical for other universities as well. Many universities in Japan have scholarships. I think Japan is a very generous destination with scholarships. It's another reason why you should consider Japan as a study destination. There's lots of scholarships you can apply for. We have an academic merit scholarship that covers students for the full 4 years of the degree. We have 4 tiers of it, which you can see from 25 up to 100% waiver of the tuition, facility, and equipment fees. There is also a government scholarship, a government-run scholarship called JASO, which you can apply for. Students apply for that before they arrive as part of our enrollment procedure, and that actually pays you a stipend for the first 6 or 12 months that you're in Japan. So that can help you get on your feet until you find some part-time work. You can
Daniel,
also
sorry to interrupt.
Sorry,
Just to
yeah.
remind you, we have 2 more minutes left
Ooh,
before we start
sorry.
the Q&A. Yeah,
I'm
just so
talking,
you know.
talking. All right, cool. Well, let me just say, you can work part-time in Japan. We can talk about that. Probably that'll come up as a question. Just a final thing, you can apply to us for Apply Wave if you're interested. You can come and talk to me in the booth later. But we have 2 intakes per year. Again, this is typical of a Japanese university. So our April 2022 starts actually closing soon. So yeah, come talk to us about that. And thank you very much. I'll take some questions.
Perfect,
Okay,
thank you. We have 2 questions. The first one says, how much does it cost to live in Japan?
Okay. A lot of that will depend on your personal preferences and how much partying you want to do.
Sure.
We recommend if you do not have a scholarship, you're living in our dorms and your living expenses, so as a total thing with no scholarship, you'll need about 25 to 30,000 US dollars per year in total. Of course, you can work part-time up to 28 hours a week during semester and 40 hours a week during vacation, and that would cover your living expenses. It won't cover your tuition, but it will cover your living expenses because you can earn up to, I think, roughly you'd be about 1,600 USD per month, I think so.
Okay, perfect. I think that answered the question.
Excellent.
The second question, I think you already maybe answered it, but it says, can I work while I'm studying in Japan?
Yes, you can. Yeah, so 28 hours a week during semester and 40 hours a week during vacation.
Okay,
and the
perfect.
minimum wage here is about $9 US an hour.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And I have one personal question that I would like to ask.
Sure.
That says, what's the average, like the normal average in a salary of Japanese companies?
Yeah, so for graduates, it's about 3.6 million yen as a starting salary, so about 32,000 US dollars per year, I think, would be the starting salary. And then that's as a graduate salary. The average salary in Japan is somewhere around, I would say about 5 million yen. And at that rate, you're very comfortably middle class in Japan.
Totally.
Very
No, it
comfortably
sounds
middle class. Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. A lot of, there's a lot of add-ons in Japan too to salary. Like they will pay your transportation costs. A lot
Okay.
of companies will give you a housing allowance as well. So your salary might seem maybe lower than other countries, but there's things that sort
Yeah,
of
the
add on to
benefits
it
they
as
give
well.
you.
Some good benefits.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's great. Well, for now, those were all the questions we have. And I want to thank you for your time. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
everyone for joining the session. Please feel free to visit ICLA booth. And I hope to see you in the next session.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye for now.